Yeah, I had no idea what a kudu was until recently. When I started the company, one of the hardest things was to find a name for it. And I don't know if you tried the exercise, like any name you can think of, it's already taken. Like I was checking saltybanana.com, site under construction. Like who bought it and put something there. So I was thinking of this problem, and I'm a kind of a nerd. So I had an algorithm that we could use to just solve this problem for us. So I wrote an algorithm that would take like name of colors, name of spices, names of animals, emotions, any of those things, combine the names, find what's available online, find what's good for SEO, and find what's good in terms of number of syllables. And that's, one of the top 5 names was Madkudu. And my co-founder and I, we look at it and say, what the hell is a kudu? And that's how we got started. So I'm mentioning that because I've been doing data science for a long time and applying it to solve any kind of problem. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Madkudu. We do predictive lead scoring for SaaS companies. And I've worked over the years with hundreds of organizations, creating over $20 million of incremental revenue for them. A company like Shazam, Gartner, Sport Authority. And today at Madkudu, we work exclusively with software companies in the SMB space. Here are some of our customers. And I spend my days working with sales and marketing leaders, people like Guillaume Cabane, VP Growth at Segment, people like Cameron Nuri at Pingboard. And there is one thing they keep saying. It's, I need to grow my revenue and my sales by 10%, 20%, 200% this year. And I only have limited resources. So what's the biggest opportunity for me to increase my sales without adding a ton of resources? So we've done some research, we work together, and using data, I'm going to present here some findings we had on how to do that for the SMB market. Have you guys heard of elephant, deers, and rabbits? Like raise your hand if you have.
No, yeah.
Well, anything about animals. Reich, think Reich. Yeah. So that was a concept of, how can you build a $100 million business? Christoph Jens from Point 9 Capital wrote about that. And you can either have, 1,000 elephants, or you can have 10,000 deers or 100,000 rabbits. Rabbits, paying $1,000 a year. Most companies are organized like that. Marketing takes care of the rabbits. Sales take care of the elephants. Can you see what's missing here? Yeah, nice. The deers are missing. Kudus, yeah. So who owns the deers? That's a touchy subject. Instead of looking at how we can sell to people, it's more important to look at how people buy, right? Our job is not to sell, our job is to help them buy our product. The rabbits, that's pretty straightforward. They don't want to talk to salespeople. They just want to go try the product, see if it works for them. If it does, they buy. If it doesn't, they don't buy. Elephants, they want to talk to someone. They will not buy without it. They want some help on scoping the needs. They want some help on calculating total cost of ownership, do ROI simulation. So deers are a difficult animal. It's a one-touch sale where they want to talk to someone to get some help on some specific questions, but it has to be high velocity. It has to be almost a coaching and not a pure sales. When we talk about that with salespeople, we've seen something pretty strong with all the customers we work with. Salespeople want to talk to elephants. Because the story we keep hearing again and again is, I've been trying to work with elephant and deers, and man, I spent a lot of time talking to deers. I had a lot of conversations. I was closing a lot of deers, but at the end of the month, I was not making my quota. Deers was so much work, whereas I'm just focusing now on a few elephants, and it works out for me. So we wondered, is that right? Should we go up market and every SaaS companies or SMB companies go more on the M than the S? So we said, let's not look at our opinions and let's look at the data we have. Step one was to find a metric to compare different customer segments. compare the deers and the elephants. So we picked sales velocity. Dan talked about it this morning. Thomas Tom Goose have written about that. So I'm assuming you're pretty familiar with it. And instead of using it to measure the performance of sales team, we said, let's look at it to compare the different deers and the elephants. Next, we needed data. So we selected 10 of our customers and said, let's work on this project together. The companies we are looking at there are companies that are SaaS companies, software, having a mix of rabbits and elephants, B2B. Here's an example of what we did for each of them. We would look at their leads, remove the garbage, so only qualified leads, then categorize each lead either as elephant, deers, or rabbits. And then for each segment, we would calculate what the average time for conversion and what the conversion rate for those segments. So let's do that for 10 companies and see what comes out. Speed. So obviously deers close much faster than elephants. How much faster? 20%, 10 times?
20 times?
No. Sonia? 6 times. Okay, it's pretty good scatter plot. Answer, on average, deers are only closing 10% faster than elephants. So yeah, it does not, like if we look specifically at, that's right, we have a few winners here. On the company A, for example, you can see that elephant close in 80 days on average. For the deers, it's more around 74 days. But if you look at company B, like it's almost a 3x ratio. You can look at the different companies, but the surprise was, darn, like the elephants are not closing that slower compared to deers. So when the sales team says, hey, I'm focusing on elephants, they might be right. Are they? Conversion rate. So let's look at the other variable of the sales velocity formula. Let's do it again. Conversion rate. How much faster do the elephant close compared to deers? The deers are closing 3 times more than the elephants on average. That's pretty huge. That was a big surprise because, like, if we look at, again, company A, B, C, D, elephant conversion rate 3% for company A, 18% for company B. So it's like 5 times higher conversion rate for the deers. And if you go across companies, that one is much more consistent than the finding we had before. Does that apply for your companies? Like, does that sound right? So that was surprising. We thought that since sales is spending so much time with elephants, giving them all the love, like you would expect that elephants close better. But even after qualification, the deers are doing great there. What does that mean for deal size? So instead of looking at deal size, we thought of more looking at how bigger the elephants have to be for the sales velocity to be the same. And the finding we had was the elephants' deal size have to be at least 10 times more than the deer's deal size. So if your average, like mid-market customer close at 20K a year, for an elephant to have the same velocity, it has to be 200K a year. If they are 50K, man, deers are much better targets than the elephants. So that's something you can do for your companies, like look at sales velocity by segment and see if that stands true for your particular business. But on average and across like the 10 companies we looked at, most of them were very surprised to see that deers are a very sexy target, very sexy segment. But the objection we got was, one, I'm calling my deers and my elephants. So, does it really make a, what the so what of that? And the so what is I mean, if deers are better than elephant, call them twice, 3 times, 4 times. Like it doesn't make sense to call everyone, just call the right people. And that people said, okay, that makes sense. The second biggest objection was my sales team. Even if I show them the sales velocity stuff you're talking about, they still think that elephants are a bigger target and a better opportunity. And on that, they're right. Because most of the sales team we work with, they don't have the process to go after deers. So deers are hard to hunt, especially when you don't have the right tools. That's an evil deer, yeah. Try to summarize maybe the key points between selling to elephant and deers. Elephants, you don't have that many of them, so you can talk to all of them. You can spend a lot of time back and forth trying to get a call with them or a meeting. You can have 5 meetings. You can research every meeting. So it's very like traditional sales. Deers, on the other hand, I mean, there are many of them. You have to pick the one you want to talk to. You also cannot spend too much time trying to get those calls, and you need to have one call. And sometimes, like some of our customers call them the one call close call. Like you get in the call, answer objections, see how the solution can be a fit, and at the end of the call, swipe the credit card. Otherwise, the economics don't work. So as the next step, we said, okay, deers are sexy, but deers are hard. Can we come up with some best practices as to what are the best practices to go after deers? So I have some findings here I'm going to share. And to make it maybe easier to follow, I was thinking of, I'm the prospect, Sam the prospect, and you are the marketer and the sales team. We'll take an example of a BI company. So you're selling reporting for your customers on the cloud. And challenge number 1, hey, where is Sam here? Can you find it? No, there is not. They're all the same. Yeah. They all look the same because we don't have the data to identify which customers are in market to buy your product, or am I Sam, just kicking things around and I'm not really interested. So one of the challenges with deers is we need to find a way to identify the few deers that are really interested by the solution and worth having a conversation with both ways. So one of the key elements for that is let's find the signals that indicate that Sam is going to buy. Most of the time when we think about signals, we think about website activity, downloading white paper. Is it similar to what you guys are using today? Okay, I'm seeing some polite nodding. But we are in the software space, like cloud space. Like our product people, they know exactly what users are doing in the application. They track that in Mixpanel, in Marketo, Kissmetrics. Like they have every single behavior on our deers, right? You know everything I'm doing in the app, but you're not using it to identify me, whether or not I'm engaged or not. So for this reporting, for your company, you can say, hey, did Sam create dashboards? How many did he create? Have he shared the dashboards? Have he turned on some integrations? Those are huge signals that tells whether or not I'm a good fit for a conversation or not. What I've done on the website is great, but that's half of the picture. The other half is what I've done with the product. Challenge, okay, how do we know which one we have to care about and which one we don't really have to care about? I mean, now we have almost too much data. That's too much noise, not enough signal. And that's where everybody sometimes say, okay, I'm going away now. That's where the theory stops, and how do we get it in practice? So you don't have to, something I've done for many companies in the past, it takes half a day, and you can find what signals work, what signals are not good leading indicator. Don't need a data scientist, just need a technical guy who can help you out, pull a few numbers. So I think I could share that here. I've done it for companies, and you can use Madkudu, of course, but that's something you could do on your own. Yeah, I had to bring at least a matrix somewhere. Sorry for that. On that one, took, let's say, one behavior. How does turning 3 integrations make Sam buy more or not? Like, is it related to a conversions? One very simple way to find out is to ask someone in your product team or technical team, can you tell me how many people turned on the 3 integrations and how many of those converted? So here it's 22. Now, how many did that as well, but did not convert? 123. Do the same thing for people who have not. So 12 have not turned integrations and converted, and 4,700 did none of that. So just with those 4 numbers, you can use a simple formula that will give you the correlation coefficient between this behavior and conversions, or what is the outcome you're looking at. So here's the formula. We have a blog post, and if you look at phi correlation coefficient, you can find more details about that. But look, that's only multiplication, subtractions, and a square root, and a division. So do that for the behaviors you suspect to be good indicators. And now you find that, turning 3 integration is the highest factor that explains conversions for your software. Second is visiting the pricing page, surprise. And the third one is sharing a dashboard. But what it also tells you is what is not a good indicator. And that's almost sometimes more important. It tells you that on this specific situation, turning on 1 integration is not a good predictor. A lot of tire kickers, like, they connect, but they don't do much after that. And adding a new team member does not really matter for this product. All right, what are the key leading indicators to conversions? Great, like, your nerd is happy in the team, but what do you do with that, right? You need to bring revenue now. Let's schedule some calls. That look familiar? What do you guys do when you have those emails? That's like, we train for it, right? We see that, tack, tack, tack. That's fun. I reply, say, great predictable revenue email. Fantastic. True. And that makes sense. I mean, I'm Sam. I'm a user. I know it's sent to every single people. I know the conversation I'm going to get is a salesperson showing me every single feature of the app, and it does not get what I'm looking for. So, all right, it goes to delete. No hard feelings. That's another example. Is it a bit better? What's better? Nice. It tells me why you're reaching out. Okay, I'm one of the few who turned on 3, created 3 dashboards. So that's okay. You have a reason to reach out to me. It reminds what is my goal. You get my goal, which is I want to build a metric-driven organization, and what are the roadblocks to get to my goal. Like, that you've seen many customers like me, and that what's blocking me is not about creating dashboards, because my team is not going to adopt dashboards I'm creating. It's part of the plan.
Oh, yeah. AV, man. Worst.
Yo. And the call to action is right there. So I look at that. Okay, I understand why they're reaching out now. It's not reaching out to everybody. They understand my goal. They know what roadblocks they will be on my journey to get to my goals. And the call I'm going to get is someone helping me, giving his time to help me achieve my goal. The beauty of that is I'm a deer. So far, as a sales team, you've done nothing. Everything is automated. The only thing you have now to do is pick up the phone and talk to an interested deer who is in business with you, right?
In your examples, you have action happening inside the app. We don't have a free trial, and we found it's more profitable per lead not to have a free trial. Do you think it's essential to this process that they get inside the app so you can use that data?
That's a great question. I've seen people go back and forth on that, on trials or not trials, and the best answer I got to that was trials for elephants makes no sense. It hurts your elephants because now you put them in a path where they will not be successful with the trials. They don't help them scope the needs, bad. But the deers and the rabbits, when they don't see a try now button, they just go away because they don't want to talk to a salesperson. So companies like Segment mention, what they do is when you go to sign up, they can identify you directly and say, hey, are you an elephant or are you a deer?
Well, we're only
only elephants?
No, the opposite.
Or only deers?
Only rabbits, really, yeah.
And no trial.
And no trial and no sales process either. Just buy it.
I need to talk to the marketing team. I want that too. Yeah.
You need in-app behavior. So
that's
so you can do like you can do churn, upsell once they're in there. But to do this, to actually close them, you need in-app behavior.
Yeah. Okay, so now you have 3 demos. Like your sales team, I don't have to work at all. I just, you can just pick the phone and talk to your customer. You don't have time to research because you have 20 of those calls, right? So in Salesforce, usually you have most of the information there is first name, last name, company size. But to have an effective call, like the best companies we work with, the sales team are trained and have scripts to look at behavior in the app. And based on those behavior, they would have a coaching script to help me out to reach my goal. In this specific example, I created 3 dashboards. That I've invited 5 users recently. What integration I turned on. When you get on the call, you can directly say, okay, I've seen that you're good with dashboard. I'm not going to bore you with how to create like another widget and those kind of things. I'm going to go straight to how can I help you be successful in our organization, getting the dashboard adopted.
How many people put their in-application behavior data into their CRM? Anybody do it?
10%? 5%? Yeah. Nice. Maybe as a closing, I spent a lot of time, many years actually, in the SMB and SaaS space. And 1, 2, 1, 2.
Switch mics again. Yeah, I know. Seriously.
1, 2, 1, 2. Oh, it has to be an important closing now. Yeah. I'll just say that the space has become super competitive. Before, you would just build a product and distribution was okay. Now it's building products are pretty easy, and it's all about selling and distributing it. And in the SMB space, you have a lot of customers. You have a lot of customer data. And one of the biggest opportunity you have to be competitive is to use this data to listen to customers and just make the experience better for them to buy your product and stay with your product. The change, like being data-driven or this and that, has happened in marketing. You don't have a single marketing team without a data analyst, data scientist, or some kind of person who knows the data. On the sales organizations, most of us haven't done that. And I'm glad to see you today because I guess you were not scared away by the data science in the title, which was put on purpose to see who would be scared away by the data science in the title of the presentation. So I'm excited to have you part of that.